The Defense Department says the Philippine government and the United States have agreed to designate 4 new locations under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. But some local officials oppose this move, giving U.S. troops access to the country's military facilities to avoid any conflict with neighbors, particularly China. In another controversy, the Office of the Solicitor General filing a notice of appeal against the International Criminal Court pretrial chamber's decision to resume its investigation into the country's drug war. Good evening, I'm Pia Hontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. The province of Cagayan is among the provinces opposing the planned expansion of EDCA sites in the country. Our first guest tonight, joining us via Zoom, is the governor of Cagayan, Manuel Mamba. Good evening, Governor Mamba. Thank you very much for being with us on the show.
Yeah, good evening to Pia and good evening to all your televiewers.
Well, Governor Mamba, you've said time and again that you don't want any trouble with neighboring China. Also Isabela, Governor Rodito Albano, saying the same thing. And you've also been quoted as saying that you don't want any part of any offensive or any action that could be deemed as offensive doon sa any of our neighboring countries. Can you tell us more about that? Bakit po ganyan ang sinasabi ninyo?
Well, in the first place, this is just a personal, and this is my personal stand at this point in time. I have not consulted really my constituents at this point in time. I was not formally informed yet, and these are the things that will be happening in my province in the years to come or in the days to come. But anyway, when I was asked about it, yung nga, sinabi ko, that I don't want my province to be used for any offensive, maneuvers or anything offensive to our neighbors, especially north of Cagayan. They are friendly to us, and they have always been friendly to us. And I said later on after that I don't want any foreign troop deployed in the province. Because we do have a lot of military people in the province already. We have a brigade of Marines 3 years ago, and we also have a brigade with 2 battalions of Army deployed in the province since years back. And so, ang ayoko lang talaga are foreign troops and foreign forces in the province at this point.
Sa madaling salita, Gov, ang sinasabi po ninyo, ayaw nyo ng gulo.
Well, isa yun, since nung balikatan exercise pa dito, we already opposed the live fire, live fire exercises. We're open to all types of exercises except the live fire because we felt that might agitate our neighbors, especially China.
Okay.
And that is why we oppose this. In fact, we have a PPOC resolution and an RPOC resolution, Regional and Peace and Order Council resolution, opposing the same.
Opposing, sir, ano po, yung balikatan or itong EDCA?
No, it's not the balikatan, but that component of the balikatan, which is yung live fire.
Okay.
So I was told that this is the parang practice ng lahat ng klase ng armaments nila, including missiles and cannons and all of these things.
Okay.
Ayaw namin yun.
Just to clarify, Governor, yung Regional and Provincial Peace and Order Council, wala pong resolution against EDCA? Wala, no? Just to clarify.
No resolution against
Okay.
EDCA.
Okay.
Just that part of the balikatan.
Kanina, Governor, sabi po ninyo, they are friendly to us. They meaning China? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say they are friendly
China,
to us, how...
of course, Korea and Japan, they were all friendly to us, in all our disasters, in all our, remember we have 2 super typhoons lately and a 1 mega flood. They've always been with us,
Oo.
helping us out, no, even in our recovery programs for the province and even for the region.
Governor, you said these are your own opinions. You have not consulted your constituents. Pero meron na po bang naglabi sa inyo against EDCA, giving you fair, parang konting warning na, Governor, kapag baka pumayag kayo.
Kasi, wala namang nagsabi pa sa amin, formally about it, What we see in the papers and what we hear and see over the radio and the television, yun lang ang alam namin at this point in time.
At this point in time also, Governor, wala pong official announcement from the Defense Department, both the Philippines and the US, as to the exact sites or exact locations nitong mga EDCA facilities within military bases. However, when you look at Cagayan, your province, we do know that there is Camp Marcelo Aduro in Tuguegarao. There is also the Camilo Ocias Naval Base, if we're not mistaken, in Santa Ana, Cagayan. Ito po bang mga kampo or for example, yung 17th Infantry Battalion sa Alcala, Cagayan, kung nandyan pa po sila, ito po ba yung mga tinitingnan na posibleng EDCA sites?
I do not know. I do not know really. Although these are already, sabi ko, there are 2 military brigades already in our province. Aside from the regional PNP camp in our province. And 1 Marine Brigade was with us about 3 years ago. With 2 battalions now in the province. And the 5th Infantry, the brigade, the 501st Brigade has 2 battalions already in the province also. They've been with us for a long time now.
Yes. Well, Governor, I mentioned Camp Marcelo Aduro and the Camilo Ocias Naval Base because, as we all know, and as they have already announced, yung mga EDCA sites will be in military bases. And since napag-usapan ng Cagayan, madali namang maghanap ng pangalan ng kampo. So, syempre, wala pa namang formal announcement. Pero saan pa ba kung Cagayan ang pag-uusapan? Ngayon, Governor, I wanted to ask you, kanina ang Yes, Governor, go ahead.
Well, we have new camps kasi. We have new camps, bagong-bago lang na mga kampo ito. And there are already permanent buildings in it,
What are the names of these camps?
Since the Duterte administration, And that is why they could have as many camps as they would. It's even more than that.
Yes.
We have nothing against that. Camps in all over the province for our protection and for everything. Even against insurgency. Wag lang
US
foreign troops.
What are these new camps, Governor?
Troops.
What are these new camps, Governor, that you mentioned?
Well, we have a camp now in Bangag, Lalo. We have a camp now in Burubur, Lalo. We have a camp in Alcala, an old camp in Alcala. And of course, the Marcelo Aduro camp is a PNP regional center, regional camp of the PNP. We also have a camp in Tuguegarao, the PNP provincial camp in Tuguegarao.
Yes.
And some other small camps with platoon size na mga sundalo.
Okay. All right.
Even that of the Marines also. They are also scattered all around the coastal towns, the northern coastal towns of Cagayan.
Okay, Governor, I have about a minute and a half left with you, so I just have these 2 quick questions. First, what will happen? What action will you take kung ituloy ang EDCA sites dyan po sa lalawigan po ninyo? At pangalawa, kanina ang sinabi po ninyo, you have not formally been informed as to these possible EDCA sites in Cagayan. However, if you say formally informed, then therefore can we presume that what you mean is you have been informally informed? In other words, baka meron ng naitimbre na sa inyo na info.
Wala pa naman. Sabi ko, except sa juice lang. And what are the things that we could do? Of course, we will say what we have to say about our position. And the reasons why we're trying to do this. Because we feel that we are not a nuclear power. and that any nuclear-powered armed force in the world is stationed in our province that would also make us a magnet for nuclear attack in the future if everything escalates here, no? And we feel that that is prejudicial sa interest ng aming probinsya. Furthermore, no, we're trying to reconnect with our neighbors. No, we're now trying to open up our port of Apari, the real honest to goodness port. No, and since the time immemorial, it has always been our connection to the world. It has closed for almost 20 or 25 years now. We're now trying to reopen that, and I think, as you can see, this is the mirror harbor or mirror port, seaport, to the ports of China, to the ports of Taiwan, the ports of Kaohsiung, the ports of, and all other ports north of Cagayan. And so we have a lot of Chinese businessmen, Chinese residents, and we have intermarriages with them in our province. And we never felt threatened by them, no, since time immemorial. And so para sa amin, no, this is where we see the future of the province, no, especially with China becoming one of the richest countries in the world, and also having this biggest number of middle class in the world, no, being the number one manufacturing center now of the world. So we see a lot of market as far as China is concerned, and us being agricultural, and we have a lot of fishery also in the province. Wala ho kaming ibang market kung hindi yan. Ang mga products namin nakakaabot lang na Manila are our grains, rice and corn. Aside from that, wala naman kami maibenta. So we see a lot of exchanges with our neighbors if and when we will be opening our ports.
Governor Manuel Mamba, sir, thank you very much. Governor Manuel Mamba there of the province of Cagayan. There's a lot of speculation about possible EDCA sites in any of those camps in his province. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Governor Mamba. We'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Our next guest is a retired Navy Rear Admiral, Romel Ong. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us via Zoom.
Good evening, Pia, and good evening to your televiewers.
Sir, Rear Admiral, your thoughts first on the fears expressed by, well, a while ago, no, we were speaking to the governor of Cagayan, Manuel Mamba. Similar words we've heard in the last few days from the governor of Isabela, Rodito Albano. In summary, and we paraphrase, they don't want any trouble with, or they don't want to offend our neighbors by having their province host these, or possibly host these EDCA sites. Your thoughts, sir?
Number one, I think yung national interest prevails over local or provincial interest. That's one. Pangalawa, there are two dynamics that are nag-i-interplay dito sa issue with China as far as security is concerned. Yung nakikita lang natin yung sa West Philippine Sea, yung Chinese Navy, Coast Guard, saka yung militia. But there's another aspect to it. It's yung what we call the sharp power aspect of yung influence ng actions ng China. And this is what we call influence operations. Ang target nila are actually yung local government units natin. Yung through sister city, sister province arrangements. China has weaponized cultural engagement. It has weaponized foreign direct investments. Lahat yung nakasubsume under yung kanilang grand strategy. Okay. So dito, makikita natin yung concerns nila actually manifests yung effect ng influence operations ng China on the provinces. They're using yung carrot. The carrot is the investments.
Yes.
Or the yung economic activities as leverage para to influence them para they will turn against yung what we consider yung other strategic activities natin, which is yung kagaya ng EDCA.
Well, a while ago, Governor Mamba was talking about all these this whole gamut of cooperation with various Chinese businesses. There's intermarriages, culture exchange. Marami parang like you were saying earlier, it does sound like a short power or influence operations. He seems to be very concerned that this might, the Chinese there in his province could feel threatened by the presence of U.S. troops in these EDCA sites.
Yeah, I do understand yung apprehension niya, no? But we've seen this in other areas in Africa, Solomon Islands, even Australia, yung Darwin, Australia, yung nag-establish sila ng lease, 99-year lease yung sa Port of Darwin. So, makita rito, they specifically targeted dito sa kanilang is actually ports and airports, okay? Particularly in strategic areas, and we call this the string of pearls. So it's all over the place: Sri Lanka, Gwadar, Pakistan, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Djibouti sa Horn of Africa. So these are investments in ports and harbors, but actually they're dual use. Pwede siyang gamitin ng Navy, pwede siyang gamitin ng civilian nila.
Okay.
And nakakatulong dito from there, and if they can exercise some sorts of leverage sa mga local officials doon. So actually, ang challenge dito is how do we protect our local officials from this type of influences. And unfortunately, this is something new to us from the security sector perspective. Influences in cooperation is something new to us in terms of as a concern. So wala pa tayong countermeasure towards that. So nakikita natin, and I do understand where the good government is coming from.
Okay. Rear Admiral, itong EDCA sites or having U.S. forces in these EDCA locations in various Philippine bases, in short and simple language, is this going to be good for us in the long run? We've heard the President say time and again, friend to all, enemy to none is the foreign policy. Is this going to be good for us?
Number one challenge kasi is how do you disrupt the Chinese strategy? Kasi, kumbaga, the best way to avoid conflict or avoid yung threat of war or even the idea of war is to disrupt yung strategy ng kabila. Okay? One way of disrupting the strategy is yung EDCA. Kasi by positioning areas that has an impact on yung plano nila, then they will have to shift to other plans that would for them to have some level kumbaga level of success. So dito I think yung EDCA sites provides a countermeasure against yung positioning nila. Ang problema kasi dito is there are two things you cannot change from a strategic perspective: history at geography. Dito ang kalaban natin geography. Whether we like it or not, Taiwan is too near to us. Granted that we say na hindi naman Taiwan ang concern natin. Ang concern natin dapat palagi is yung national interest natin. But sometimes, yung interest natin converge with the interest of the US, converge with the interest of other countries. So dito, when there is a convergence of interest, we try to cooperate.
Yes.
In this case, yung EDCA is a manifestation of a need to cooperate because nagko-converge yung interest natin dito.
Okay. One last question, Rear Admiral Romelong. One of the assurances given, and parang there was so much attention on this, was that Filipinos would have access to these EDCA sites. For a generation old enough to remember, the AFP, well, the impression was the AFP, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, didn't exactly have real access to Clark Air Base, halimbawa, in Angeles City, Pampanga, or Subic Naval Base, in Olongapo, Zambales. Of course, present generation knows that as Clark and Subic SBMA, itong access seems to be such a sensitive issue. You graduated from the academy in 87, and therefore naabutan nyo pa ang Clark and Subic as American military bases. Did you, during those years, have any access to Clark and siguro not Clark, maybe Subic, naval? When you were a
Subic,
naval ensign, for example, was that an issue, and
Ito
is
kasi
that really an issue now?
Kasi it's kumbaga kung sino may-ari ng base, yun yung context nun . So when we talk of Subic and Clark in the 1990s, those were two US bases.
Yeah.
Okay? Sa context naman ng EDCA, these are Philippine bases, and what they will be putting up are facilities inside Philippine bases. So in terms of access, obviously we own it.
Yeah. Oo.
The Philippines owns those bases.
Oo. Pero,
Ang issue ng access is yung access nila sa base natin.
oo. Pero will we have access to the US facility inside the base? Kasi of course we have access to the base. Andun yung mga tauhan natin, mga sundalo, yung pero yung sabihin ba nating makakapasok ang mga Pilipinong sundalo doon sa EDCA facility? Kasi, di ba, issue yan eh.
I think we will have. Kasi, remember, Pia, those facilities are not, complicated facilities eh.
Yeah.
We're talking here of warehouses and buildings.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if
All
ever, I will push you, because most of the activities will be joint in nature, meaning it will involve Philippine and US forces. Obviously, the way I look at it, meron talaga tayong access to sa facilities.
Alright.
Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of this site.
Yes. Retired Navy Rear Admiral Rommel Ong. Sir, thank you very much for joining us tonight via Zoom. We'll have more when we return. This is Politics as Usual. You're still with Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Moving on to another topic. Let's talk about the human rights situation in the country. Our third guest tonight, Commission on Human Rights Commissioner Beda Espres. Commissioner Espres, thank you. Epres. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Sir, let's begin with this now. We have a visiting foreign... Good evening, sir. We have a visiting forensic expert, Dr. Morris Tidball Binns. He's here as part of a team of international experts on what's called the Minnesota Protocol on the investigation of potentially unlawful deaths. He's here, he and the team are here to conduct training seminars, to do what exactly, what kind of consultations are being held? And I understand he's going to be there at CHR tomorrow.
Yes, hi Pia, good evening. Yes, the team of Dr. Morris Tidball Binns will be visiting the Office of the Commissioner on Human Rights tomorrow. I think it's around 12 noon. They are here in the Philippines upon invitation of the Philippine government through Secretary Remulla. The invitation was made last November 2022. And they are here as part of the Philippine United Nations Joint Program on the technical cooperation for the promotion of and protection of human rights.
Commissioner Epres, of course, we introduced him as a visiting foreign expert. He also, however, happens to be the United Nations Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial, summary, or arbitrary executions. And of course, we have that case before the International Criminal Court. At the same time, timing din naman dahil si Dr. Raquel Fortune, forensic pathologist, releasing her findings on the Kian de los Santos death. Are there going to be any comments, any questions from Dr. Morris Tidball Binns and his team about this and about other EJKs?
Dr. Morris Tidball Binns is here in his capacity as a forensic expert, not as a UN Special Rapporteur. But nevertheless, I think he will take this opportunity to conduct series of engagements with stakeholders. Maybe that's the reason why he also scheduled a visit at the in our office tomorrow. The purpose of the meeting will be the purpose of the meeting is for him to know what is the human rights situation in the ground. So we are very much open to have a dialogue with him tomorrow.
Commissioner Epres, our government, through the Office of the Solicitor General, filed a notice of appeal against the ICC, the International Criminal Court's pretrial chamber decision to resume investigation into the war on drugs. I understand the CHR is not part of the process now when they came up with this notice of appeal. But there is, of course, some measure of interest here because we're talking about, and let me quote from the pretrial chamber's earlier decision, and we quote, various domestic initiatives and proceedings relied on by the Philippines do not amount to tangible, concrete, and progressive investigative steps being carried out with a view to conducting criminal proceedings in a way that would sufficiently mirror the court's investigation as authorized in the Article 15 decision. Hindi po kayo bahagi nito, pero syempre, meron pa ring level of interest here, right?
Yes, that's correct, Pia. The CHR is not part of the whatever strategy the Philippine government is doing insofar as the drafting and filing of the appeal with the ICC. But kami, we are closely monitoring these events because it involves the extrajudicial killing cases allegedly perpetrated during the anti-drug campaign of the previous administration. So we are closely monitoring these events, Pia.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Beda Epres of the Commission on Human Rights. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, sir. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show. Your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.